So you guys know when it comes to preseason games, I'm never going to be looking at the score itself, who ultimately wins the win-loss column in the standings, because it quite literally means nothing when you consider the lineups that are being played between both teams and what we'll actually see when it comes to the rotations in the regular season. But what I do focus on is individual performance as well as schemes, how the offense is being run, varying rotations, and from that you can draw some conclusions that are actually meaningful in assessing how the season is going to go. So no, I'm not going to be bothered by the Bulls losing this game, and doing so also by blowing a 20-point lead. And I'll start with what I like seeing, and there were two things that stood out to me most, and that was the play of Zach Lavine and Julian Phillips. I'll start with Zach though, because if you caught my last post-game video on the Bulls and their win over the Cavs, I talked about how I was pretty underwhelmed by what I saw from Zach. Yes, I knew it was his first game back since January. Yes, it's a preseason game, and for a veteran player, you're not really going to expect some stellar performance or effort in a preseason matchup. But for Zach Lavine, this isn't just about it being the preseason. For Zach Lavine, this whole year is his revenge tour. Not revenge against the Bulls, but revenge against the whole league and the fans who have made him out to be a bad basketball player that's on a bad contract and a player that doesn't impact winning. This is Zach's season to do everything he can to show that he's still got it, that he can still ball, and is one of the better scorers in the game of basketball. A season to repair his image, reputation, and perception around the league. And in that last game, it just looked more like the old Zach Lavine that we saw last season. Not that engaged, poor shot selection, poor effort on D, but in tonight's game, it was the complete opposite. This was the Zach Lavine we remember from the days before DeMar joined the team. The guy who could still score at will, lethal from outside, and an elite finisher around the rim. I know it's just one game, but Zach showed that he can still play at a high level. 22 minutes, he put up 28 points on an insane 9 for 12 from the floor, a perfect 6 for 6 from 3, only 1 turnover, and a plus 17 when he was out there. He was getting downhill in transition, he was active in moving off the ball, his handles were much tighter, his passing was more on point. Like, this is the Zach Lavine we need to see if the Bulls actually want a legitimate chance at getting some decent value for him in the form of a trade. Bulls also kind of fell apart after Zach sat most of the second half. Julian Phillips, listen man, if Phillips can become a legitimate outside shooting threat, that's a game changer and a huge win for the Bulls when it comes to this youth movement. Not only that, but also just landing the guy in the second round, because Phillips, we already knew that he was super athletic, a high flyer who can also defend well. But the biggest question mark around Phillips coming into the league, and part of the reason he wasn't highly sought after in the draft and fell to the second round, was because of his poor shooting. Phillips went 5 for 8 tonight, started out 4 for 4 from deep, and ultimately finished the game as the Bulls' second highest score with 21 points and 7 for 12 shooting to go along with 8 rebounds. Billy Donovan spoke very highly of Phillips in his decision making after the game to the media. I could not agree more, because remember, this is a second-year player, and you can tell he's already made strides when it comes to his awareness on the court and impacting the game, getting out ahead in transition for easy buckets, and now you add his ability to space the floor. I mean, I had high hopes of Julian Phillips last season and what his future looks like, and I'm doubling down on that even further going into this season based on what we've seen thus far. The other thing I like seeing tonight was the hustle, effort, and just general improvement from Dalen Terry. Still needs to work on his shot, although even that has looked a little bit better, but Terry is another one of these guys that just knows how to impact the game, where to be on both ends of the floor, still needs to shore up his turnovers and some of his bad passes, but tonight he was doing a little bit of everything. 11 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. I've said this before, and I believe I said it on Twitter tonight as well, Terry needs to be seeing more minutes. For some of these guys, you just need to see them play. They need to be getting reps for them to truly develop and learn from their mistakes. This is the year for Terry to be able to do that. Also, Talen Horton-Tucker, or as some people like to call him, Talen Horton-Chucker, but tonight those shots were actually falling. 16 points in 15 minutes, hit that big 3 to tie the game at the end before the Grizzlies came back on the other end and sank a 3 of their own. Had that freight train drive to the basket with a throwdown dunk and the foul. I mean, he's fun to watch, that's for sure. And with Bidham getting a DMP, same with Lofton and EJ Liddell, you have to think, maybe the Bulls are leaning on signing him to that final roster spot. We'll see. Now, the downsides of the game. Patrick Williams, yet again, very poor showing from Pat. I saw this stat from Casey Johnson during the game, but Pat is now 3 for 15 between these 2 preseason games and now has more turnovers than he does rebounds. For your starting power forward, It's the no excuses tour. I'm not even going to make excuses for the guy. He has got to be better. Now, apparently Pat jammed his wrist and got an x-ray at halftime, but it came back negative, so I don't know. Maybe that jam impacted his shooting, but man, hasn't even hit a 3 yet in the preseason, and a couple air balls at that from deep. He just has not been playing with confidence. He just cannot seem to shake the mental side of the game and get out of his head and just play ball. I don't know. It's early. I know it's not even the regular season yet, but this does not inspire confidence in me at all as a fan in watching this guy in a season where we all need him to have a breakout year in a youth movement. Speaking of injuries, when thinking about Pat jamming his wrist, as you probably saw, both Coby White and Jalen Smith didn't play tonight due to Coby, one, having a sore groin, Jalen Smith with knee soreness. Obviously nothing serious, but you never want to hear about injuries already occurring this early in the season. And then Dosunmu apparently hurt his shoulder in the first half of the game. He said he wanted to go back out there, but the training staff said no, so it sounds like it isn't severe. But yeah, again, not good when you're already having this many health issues in just the second preseason game of the year. It wouldn't be a true bowl season without it, though, I guess. Also, hey, Josh Giddey hit his first 3 tonight. Didn't really shoot the ball all that well otherwise, and looked pretty bad on defense, which is per usual. But man, when I watch this guy play defense off the ball, it's almost like his basketball IQ just goes out the window. That and just minimal effort when he's not playing on-ball defense. Also, what was a bit of a bummer was Modest's first game at the crib. After hyping him up so much in that last game and saying the kid can play and he's ready for this, he then follows it up by going 1 for 9 with 5 points and a -24 box plus minus. His only field goal being that 3, which was a pretty big 3, by the way. It was the one right before THTs to put the Bulls within 2 points. It was a big bucket, but yeah, he just didn't look as comfortable out there tonight. And even defensively missed some assignments that gave open threes to the Grizzlies. I can't be mad at it, though. It's only his second game in the league. He's going to learn from his mistakes. He's a 19-year-old kid. Anyway, though, the Bulls fall to the Grizzlies in a 3-point loss. They're off to Milwaukee to take on the Bucks on Monday. Let me know what you guys thought of the game in the comments below. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.